Well, good evening, Patriots. This is Tony D, otherwise known as the Nomad Prepper here. I have a link on here for um this is my YouTube live stream. This is Nomad Prepper 2, and I also have Survival and Preparedness on Facebook. I hope you are watching. I'm going to go over some things today, and you can watch the whole stream if you'd like, if they allow it that long on Facebook. I'm not sure. This is the first time I'm doing this link directly connected to Facebook on my live stream here. I've tried it once before, but I have put links on my Facebook accounts that I have to link people to come to my Ustream platform. Now, I had titled this The Twilight Zone. Imagine, if you would, a country so strong that we had defeated many countries around the world. We were, at one time, the strongest and most powerful country around this world. It was a country that people believed in freedom, liberty, to do what they wanted to do anytime they wanted to do it, to live off the land. Now imagine, if you would, to live off a land, to be able to collect your own water resources, have weapons that you either made or had someone make for you. Imagine, if you will, a country that was strong with immigrants from all around the world that would come to this one country that finally had fought against a British rule. Imagine, if you will, a country that was divided and against a British colony trying to rule their lives. Imagine, if you will, a country that fought against a British colony and won and became a free country. What is that? Well, that is the United States of America. Yes, all immigrants from all parts of the world that came to this great country, the United States of America. Imagine, if you will, that we had people that we had elected into a government, a people that came up with a republic, a democracy, that we, the people that lived on this continent, were able to all put in our suggestions and have elected officials, that we had certain people in certain states that we would have to be our mouthpiece throughout this country. Also, imagine, if you will, a country that has started out with 13 colonies where they built and wrote out documents. Those documents, my friends, were the Declaration of Independence. And among that Declaration of Independence, this country had come up with the Constitution that we live by and our amendment rights that were to protect we, the people of this great country, the United States of America. Now, I don't know about you, But at one time in this great country, we were able to fend for ourselves. We did not take any foreign countries to try and tell us what to do, what to buy or sell, or how to live our lives the way we wanted to live our lives. Imagine, if you will, a government that wrote up documents and had a government. Now, this government was to write laws to protect people in this very country. Imagine, if you will, a government that got to the point where they no longer wanted to write laws to protect its people, but instead turned into a very corrupt government where they turned against the people and they themselves have become the tyrants and the treasonous, corrupt government that we have today. Excuse me while I'm taking out all these different pop-ups that I have. Also, imagine, if you will, a government that got so greedy because of one little type of virus that they had shut down a whole country, totally locking everyone down in their homes, stopping them from doing any kind of work. Imagine, if you will, a government that stopped its whole supply chain. Not only supplies from other countries, but supplies being brought into this country throughout our country from our farmers and other manufacturers. Imagine, if you would, a time when we had peace and tranquility. We had a leader in this country, one of many, that was not a politician in any way, shape, or form. Now, this man had cured a lot of problems that we had within this nation. This man had all-time record high job numbers throughout this country, all-time record low gas prices within this country, all-time approval amongst its people that were happy to finally be able to possibly see the American dream once again. Also, a man who had raised employment rates so they could purchase things. Land was cheap. And then, imagine, if you would, that same person and the government that was under him had become a treasonous and corrupt government. It got to the point where it was so bad that they tried to get rid of this man, not only once, but twice, to try and impeach him out of his office, only to find out that they had nothing on this man to impeach him on. Now imagine, if you will, a time when this man was so strong and powerful, and he went to run for another election in this country, only to have this pandemic come around which our other opposite government officials had rigged the election. Imagine, if you will, a bunch of people on the opposite of the spectrum that worked with many, many corrupt individuals throughout a country to change the effects of an election, change the effects so much that the current running president to be elected for a second term was totally it was totally had by the opposite political party to rig the elections so that this man would not win the election. Now imagine, if you will, a government so corrupt that they did not in any way, shape, or form stop the results and do investigations into these elections. As I watch my internet connectivity go down to 1 dot, that's normal with YouTube and Google. They're all associated, so what the heck? They don't want me getting this information out. And imagine, if you will, another reason why I called this the Twilight Zone, where you have social media platforms that are so corrupt that they keep individuals from speaking their minds, keeping individuals that are channel creators on these social media platforms from speaking the truth on things that go on here in this world, in this country. This is the same country where we have the rights of freedom of speech. Which, what do we have? Imagine, if you will, a social media platform here in the United States of America that denies its own people that live in this country our freedom of speech. We cannot talk about political people. We cannot talk about anything that is basically going on in the world, because imagine, if you will, these platforms try to shut you up, shut you down, and delete your channels. Now imagine, if you will, as for myself, this channel is Nomad Prepper 2. I originally had a channel that was Nomad Prepper, which after 2 strikes, they found a way to delete that channel. Then I had come up with Nomad Prepper 1, which was also a popular channel. And every time I would get close to 1,000 subscribers, of course, the YouTube platform found a way to put strikes against me and delete me on that channel. And of course, I have started this channel, Nomad Prepper 2. Hopefully, imagine, if you will, hopefully to go and get enough subscribers to continue this creator's channel here on YouTube. Now imagine, if you will, I also have another channel, which is One Liberty, One Freedom, where I have subscribers on that channel and plenty of videos, well over 90 some videos on that specific channel. May I suggest that you check out the videos on One Liberty, One Freedom. And imagine, if you will, a video that I had done 3 weeks ago YouTube decided to pull and give me a second strike on that channel after over a month of producing that certain live stream, that they pulled it and gave me a strike just last week. So now, for 2 weeks, I am unable to do a live stream on One Liberty, One Freedom. Imagine, if you will, a social media platform that always turns around and you can appeal when they give you a strike, and they turn around no matter what you say or do. They find a way to say, oh, that is against our policy, our terms and conditions. Imagine, if you will, a social media platform that is so bad that they continuously change their terms and conditions on their social media platform, and they will give you a strike before they send you any kind of notification that their terms and conditions have changed. And imagine, if you will, any videos that you have done in the past that go against their new terms and conditions. They can pull them videos, give you a strike, and delete your channel. I don't know about you people, but this is why I call this, and one of the reasons I call this, the Twilight Zone. We never know what we're going to get when we try to do a live stream here on YouTube. Now, I have tried to push this for a while now on here on YouTube, on One Liberty, One Freedom, and I have also suggested it here on Nomad Prepper 2, that if you subscribe to my channel, you'll have a chance to win this 1-ounce silver bar. Apparently, I don't know if people just do not want to go ahead and subscribe to my channel, if they just don't like me or the content that I cover, or you're just too ignorant to not want an actual 1-ounce silver bar. That I have no idea. But on that note, I will get on with the Twilight Zone. Imagine, if you will, and I'm going to be saying that quite a bit during this live stream. Okay, I'm going to get into our world and local news. A lot of it going on. I will not be able to cover everything because this would be a very, very long live stream. I will go through quite a few topics, and then I will get into survival, preparing, and other situations near the end of this video. This may be over an hour video. If you are on Facebook watching this, I would suggest, if you don't want to stay on here this long, to go to YouTube and watch this video from beginning to end to see what might interest you. Now, I must say that I have had people that have called me a fear monger in the past. Let me suggest to you that when you called me a fear monger over a year ago, look what's happened within that past year. You talked to me about the pandemic. Am I still a fear monger now, just because I told you what was going to happen and continues to go on with more and more viruses and diseases to this day? Imagine, if you will, I went and seen my doctor yesterday to get my monthly medications and things of that nature. and we talk about different things. And one of the things we talked about was the Marsburg disease that is now out, that started in Africa. That can be a very dangerous and deadly disease. And you have a, what they say, 16% chance of surviving if you catch it. Also, as far as the monkey chimpanzee pox, those little suckers, boy, they get around. They started the AIDS, and now they're spreading little goosebumps all over your body if you happen to be, say, mostly for the LGBTQRSTUV type of people. Imagine, if you will, another disease, which is a side, how should I say, a side disease from the original mini pox, otherwise known as smallpox. I see my live stream is freezing up here and there. So we definitely have issues with YouTube as well as Google, Alphabet, however you want to look at it. But imagine, if you will, a country that never, ever really had problems with major diseases and illnesses in this country. When we did have them coming around, we had our health organizations that would make sure that we, the people in the United States of America, were safe and did not have to worry about these so-called pandemics. Now, what do you have that's going on right now? Let's see here. We have a new strain of the 19. Oh, that one's B.2. Why didn't they call it just B52? Supposed to be more stronger, deadlier than the last ones. And if you got that bang in the arm, guess what? It's not going to help you, because they say this strain is much, much stronger. So what are you to do now? As you see, even our own thief in chief has gotten this C19. Oh, and did you hear the latest? Apparently, he also has cancer, just like Putin. I can believe Putin's got cancer. As far as the chief and thief, I don't know about that. I think he's just making these stories up to try and get sympathy from the American people. Now, you also have a bird flu, which culled many, many millions upon millions upon millions of chickens. Which, what did that do? Oh, that caused a big shortage on chicken and eggs. Now, how does that help us? Well, imagine, if you will, a country that cuts its food production for the people, a government that stops its food production for the people that it is supposed to protect and cuts their food off. Imagine, if you would, a thief in chief that tells you he is going to release strategic oil reserves to lower the gas and diesel prices in this country. It only went down maybe 20 cents in my area. But imagine, if you will, a government so corrupt that they're selling our strategic oil reserves to one of our people that we are against, which is China. And I cannot pronounce the name, but those oil reserves are going to Solinco or something like that, Solinteco or something. And of course, who is getting paid 10% of that money on that oil that China is paying the United States for our Federal Reserve oil? Well, wouldn't you know it? It's the chief and thief's son, Hunter. He's getting a kickback out of that, 10%. So, that's going right back into the thief and chief's pocket, of course. Oh, imagine, if you will, also a country that claims that they need weapons for a war. That sounds like Ukraine. Imagine, if you will, a country called the United States of America that slowly dwindles down their military defenses and provides these military defenses to a country called Ukraine. Gives them all kinds of guns and ammunition and missiles and military personnel, formed with another bunch of countries called NATO. Imagine, if you will, our chief and thief sending billions upon billions upon billions of dollars to Ukraine. And instead of taking care of the people in this country that pay for this government's salaries, which are supposed to, these government officials are supposed to protect and write laws to better its people, has turned their face on the individuals of this country, we, the American people, and denies us food, supplies, clothing supplies, lumber supplies, gasoline supplies, oil supplies, natural gas, raises the rates. Imagine, if you will, raises rates to the highest ever within over 40 years' time. Our thief in chief and its Democratic administration totally ignoring the American people. And what is that doing? It's killing our economy. It's starving out the American people. And of course, many, many people, including Stalin and Henry Kissinger and so on and so forth, have stated, you control the food, you control the people. Now imagine, if you will, a president not too many years ago that is still in charge of this country behind the scenes. And who does he have as his puppet? Oh, imagine, if you will, it's the current chief and thief himself, who was his leader. Oh, bummer. Oh, my goodness. Imagine, if you will, a president that destroyed and bankrupted the American people not so many years ago is still at it and continuing, who has also stated that we got them good. We got them all locked down. We made them take that fake Bing in the arm, and now we control them. We shut their businesses down. We shut the whole economy down, and they're laughing about it. Why are they laughing about it? Because they just made the American people slaves. Imagine, if you will, You work hard all your life to watch your income drop instead of increase. Why do I say that? Well, if you're getting 15, 20, $30 an hour, you were making a decent dollar at one time. Going back, not too many years ago, 2.5 years ago, you were doing fine. But imagine, if you will, a government that raises prices so high that now that $30 that you are making an hour, after the cost of your electric, your gasoline, heating your home, buying your groceries, all your normal bills and credit card payments have doubled in interest rates. Guess what? Say you lost about $15 to $20. You have to make a minimum of $25 to $30 just to keep your head above water. That is, having your bills paid in full. Imagine, if you will, a government so corrupt that they're killing your income to make you a slave. And then, on top of that, trying to take your weapons away from you. Why would they do that, might you ask? Well, they have figured out that, imagine, if you will, other countries that had done the exact same thing to their people. As I have watched my internet bars go up and down and up and down. I'm down to one dot. So if this works out, fine. If this live stream doesn't, I'm sorry, people, but I will try again. But imagine, if you will, a government that goes against the very constitutional rights as well as your amendment rights that you have to protect you, that they are trying to take away from you. Imagine, if you will, a country so strong taking the rights away from a free people. Let's see, what other countries have done that to their people? Well, for instance, Venezuela. Imagine, if you will, Venezuela being the second strongest country around the world. And then they got greedy. Then what did they do? They made their people into slaves. They took away all their arms. And now, what do they have? They have one of the poorest countries in the whole world to this day. People living in poverty. Imagine, if you will, another country called Sri Lanka, where the people have had enough of their government. They didn't do it half-assed like this so-called January 6th insurrection that we had here, that was actually a setup with our Democratic administration. Because if people were to do things right, they would do it as they did in Sri Lanka. You would have had thousands upon thousands totally storm their government buildings and force these people out and start a new government. Now imagine, if you will, if we did that here in America. Now I know a lot of politicians that are in our government right now. If we bring them up on charges, including our thief in chief, they would be taken down to Gitmo. They would either be tar and feathered. We would be putting a rope around their neck, or we would be putting them in front of a 12-man squad. And you get the picture as to what happens after that. Now imagine, if you will, a bunch of people called the squad that is in our Democratic Party that protested on the courthouses, the Supreme Court House in Washington, D.C. Now, this Democratic squad, 18 of them, had gotten arrested right in front of the Supreme Court building in Washington, D.C. Imagine, if you will, these people being so corrupt, acted like they had handcuffs behind their hand, and then you have AOC that's waiting. These people should be impeached out of our government for going against the exact Constitution and Amendment rights that we have in this country. This is why we have a rule of law in the United States of America, to protect and defend we, the American people. The exact oath that each and every one of our politicians and military personnel all take the same oath to protect our Constitution and Amendment rights in this country. So imagine, if you will, what is to come from this corrupt government. Would you vote for the last president that we had in this country that brought all the prices of everything down so that you could live and there was a possibility of having an American dream? And I know a lot of you people do not like the Orange Man. But let me specify something to you all. The Orange Man, he did a lot for this country. He was only in our political system for 4 years, but everything that man said he was going to do, he had done. He lowered the prices of gas and diesel. He made houses affordable to buy. He raised prices on wages where you worked, so you were able to get more money for the time you invested working. What else did he do? Oh, well, it's too bad he didn't have enough time to drain the so-called swamp in our government. He was going after these people, and many of them have been arrested and tribunals given. What is to come? Imagine, if you will, a man, and I will call him the Mega Man, if he is to run in the upcoming elections for the president of this country. Now, he has stated on many of his rallies, and I watch almost every rally he is at, that if he gets back in office as our president of the United States, he said it will be a task, but he will get our gas prices down again. He will get our jobs up and running again. He will get our economy back on track again. He will back our Second Amendment rights again. He will make America strong again. He will support our Second Amendment rights. He will also stop the corruption in our schools. This man has a lot of things that he can turn around in this country where we can once again be a free people, have our liberty. Excuse me. So that we can start our businesses back up again and continue to live in a free country that we could be happy again. Excuse me. Now, I know I might have lost a lot of you people here on my live stream because of what I have just said. But imagine, if you will, if we keep the same people that we have in our government right now, we're going to be dealing with a lot of problems. They are pushing right now. They're pushing this before 2030. They're pushing this for 2025, which is only a few years away. And what is that? Their Green New Deal. What does the Green New Deal consist of? And I watched yesterday's live stream with Jason from Angry Truth and Angry Prepper. He had brought up the central bank digital currency. Now, back in February, I had talked about this. This was back February. It was around February 22nd that I had done a live stream on One Liberty, One Freedom. You can watch that. And it was about the central bank digital currency. Let's see here. And to get into that, our central bank digital currency. Now, the central bank digital currency, once they do this, our government owns you. The government is crashing our economy on purpose, which we see them doing now. They want to rule over you. You'll no longer have freedoms. So you better be prepared for this economic warfare that we're going through right now. Because as you can see, you keep working for less. Bank runs are coming, so get your money out of the bank. We've seen other countries that are having bank runs, including China, Germany, and other countries. So I'm going to suggest that you buy gold and silver, and that's considered real money. You have to remember, many, many, many years ago, they even used salt as currency, okay? Or you can invest in things like Bitcoin. They can't touch Bitcoin. But if our grid goes down or they stop the internet from you and me to be able to go on social media platforms, etc., then Bitcoin will no longer be available. But I do not think that's going to happen. But if they start this digital currency, there's only one way, and one way only. You can try not to get into this digital currency. And I would suggest you try and stay away from this digital currency as long as possible. There are people like Jason on the Angry Prepper, the Angry Truth, who have stated that we need to get the word out. We need to come up with a way to be able to avoid this digital currency. And if our American money becomes no good, how are we going to fare to get by without going into this digital currency? Well, I would say underground, people to people, the black market, so to speak, where you would work and do things through barter with gold or silver or just bartering items. Say if you have a bottle of whiskey, you could trade that for something, or say one bullet ammunition, trading ammunition for supplies. What are you going to do? Because if you don't go with this digital currency, they're going to go ahead and regulate once this digital currency starts. They're going to regulate what you can and cannot buy. They're going to give you they're going to set a credit score. And if you're associated with someone that doesn't have a good credit score, you can be, how should I say, uh, uh, you could be considered an accessory, like an accessory to a crime, and they can ruin your credit score as well. Now, this credit score is the ESG credit score. It's the environmental, social, and governance credit score. Now, as we could see on this credit score ordeal, if you owe a lot of debt to this day on your credit cards and such, well, sure, they have our government or the Federal Reserve. It's all one big incorporated ordeal here, people. These are all ways of our government to screw you out of your money, take your money right away from you. They will set up a credit score as to how you will be placed on a, say, loyalty type of ordeal. Are you a good citizen? Are you a bad citizen? Oh, we'll allot you so much money a month. Oh, you're doing something that the government doesn't like. Oh, guess what? Oh, you wanted to buy food this month? Oh, okay, you have so much credit where you could buy food, but the government says no food for you, so you can't buy food. So, what do we have to do? Well, this is where we have to set up a so called black market type of organization where we can barter for things like even crackers, snacks, or food. What else? Oh, let's see here. We've got liquor. That went so fast I see my screen freezing up. How about oil and filter, gasoline? All these different things you're going to need. You're going to have to find a way to purchase these items through a black market. Now, if anybody watches this and you watch Angry Prepper, tell him that I myself, Tony D, here at Nomad Prepper 2, to watch this video if he will. I am an older gentleman. I have been a survivalist and a prepper for well over 40 years of my life. I want to let you know that people such as myself have been preparing for many, many years. Now, in this black market system, there are ways to be able to trade and sell items. It could even be as simple as going to a local flea market where you work with people to barter for items, or through church congregations or neighborhood get togethers. Now, there are many, many ways that we can all do this and work together. It's only we, the people, can stop all this from happening. If we all work together in this country and people pull their head out of the sand and wake up and see that our government is trying to turn into a dictatorship over you and me, maybe you'll wake up and start protesting around our Capitol, around our White House. Oh, yeah, they got these big, tall 12-foot fences now. They have all kinds of scaffolding going up around the Capitol. Why? They say they're refacing the Capitol. Are they really refacing the Capitol? Or are they coming up with more defense projects around that Capitol to keep an insurrection from happening? Why is it that we, the people, are finally starting to get our hands on military equipment? Oh, we had the thief in chief himself say, oh, nobody had cannons back in the day. Well, I'm sorry to tell you, Pedo Joe. Yes, they did have cannons. Yes, they did manufacture their own weapons, as well as buying them from other people who made weapons. And yes, again, people still do have cannons and weapons that they've made themselves. Speaking of which, once again, why is it that all of a sudden we have our government that is purchasing weapons for government officials like the IRS, the Federal Reserve workers, all these different organizations that are part of our government, and here our government is buying them military weapons and giving them ammunition for what? Do they know something that we don't know? Oh, I think they do. They know that we, the American people, are really getting pissed off and we're ready to overthrow this government. Now, these old tanks, I know different VFWs throughout the United States that have these Army tanks and such. These Army tanks still work. Are they parked at these VFWs? Yes, they are. But they are not immobilized. In other words, they can be started right up. They will run fine. And I do know people that can get ammunition for these such tanks. So, if need be, a warning to our government: we may not need planes, but we do have tanks, bazookas, machine guns, as well as other forms of protection. Now, I had showed people this the other day. Wrong side. This is a weapon that I had purchased. It looks a little different now, doesn't it, people? Now, I have the forward grip and I have a red dot scope on it. Red dot sight on it, I shall say. Which makes it very, very nice, and you can handle this very easily. I'm waiting for a friend of mine to contact me so we can go to a local wildlife preserve so I can sight this baby in. It should be sighted in already, but I want to take it to make sure it's on sight. This is a nice weapon to have. I do also have, this takes 10 round clips, but I do have 20 round clips. And I know some of you people are saying, it's magazine, not a clip. Well, excuse me, but if you check out this N9, this 995 TS, they don't call the magazines a magazine for this weapon. They call them clips for this weapon. Just to let you know. Because some of you are just a little ignorant of the fact. Some people say, oh, well, you're just old. Well, let me tell you something. I may be old. But when I was in the service, you didn't yell to your partner, hey, throw me another mag. You said to him, throw me a clip. I'm running out of ammo. Throw me some clips. We use that word back when I was in the service. And I've had some people, oh, you're just old. Well, I might be just old, but I do know how to fight for this country. It's getting to the point where I hope you know how to fight for your rights and your life in this country. If we do go to any kind of war on American soil, whether it be against other countries or against our own government, you're going to see a whole lot of gore, guts, and blood. It will be like that movie, The Patriot. If we get invaded, this may become a Red Dawn situation. May I suggest that you go ahead and watch different movies, on apocalyptic movies on these kind of ordeals, like How It Ends, or read the book 1 Second After. There are a lot of different movies you can watch. We see how the New World Order wants you to start eating bugs, but yet will the elites that are running these big organizations be eating bugs? No, they won't. They've already have under certain mountains throughout this United States, big ass bunkers. I mean, big, huge, underneath these mountains. They have cattle, live and cut in halves of cattle, pigs, chickens. They have their own gardens going on underneath these environmental protected government facilities in these mountains. These elites will be living very well, but they want you to live on bugs. I don't think so. I suggest you grow your own garden. I suggest you get ready for what's to come here very shortly. We're becoming slaves in this country. Is it time to overthrow this government yet? Now, as far as the credit scores, if you're paid up in full on all your debt, your land, whatever, you'll be fine. You'll be considered a good, very high credited person. They will offer you the best of everything. But if you owe a lot of debt, which the government had created for many of us here in the United States, as for myself, killing my business, am I able to start my business up? Nope, don't have the funds to do that no more. I'm working with what I have left. But to let you all know, this is what the government wants. If you owe a lot of debt, they're going to give you a bad credit rating on their economical credit system. That's not a good thing for we the people. Now we see, like I stated earlier, we do have a lot of criminals in our government. Like I mentioned earlier, you have the thief in chief and his son that are involved in a lot of criminal activity. It's similar to the Clinton Foundation. These people are making money hand over fist, millions and millions, just like the Pelosi's. All these people, they're in cohorts, and all their family members as well have their hands in all these different ties, including the stock market. Don't you wish that you had inside information on the stock so you could become wealthy as well? I do, but I have no money now, so I can't. Sure, it's the way they control you. Next thing I want to get into are food prices. Now, we've noticed, and I especially have noticed, that I continually go to my supermarkets every 2 weeks to purchase different kinds of foods. When I used to purchase things, and still do, of course, I'm canning my meats, which I suggest you learn how to can meats if you don't do it as of yet, as well as your vegetables, fruits, all these different items. Now, I'll give you, for instance, of how things have changed so drastically. I used to buy a 4-pack of chicken breasts, 4 packs. I used to get that 4-pack of chicken breasts for $7.60 some cents. Now, you can no longer get that 4-pack of chicken breasts for $7.60 some cents. Now you get 2 cans of chicken breast for $7.80 some cents. A loaf of bread just went up $1 more. Your canned soups. I'll put it this way: even your canned meats that are the same, like your roast beef or pulled pork that you could buy in a can the size of chicken breasts, that went from $1.25 up to $1.85 to what I seen prices just a couple of days ago. It's now like $5.42 a can. That's quadrupled in price. So they're definitely trying to outprice you in everything that you purchase today. Next thing I want to talk about real quick, and I know I'm past my hour limit, but I'm going to keep on going. I have a few more things to go through. Now, I want to talk about our red flag gun bill. Okay? Our government has been constantly pushing all these different red flag gun bills. And I mean, it's going out of style. They got one after another after another. Even though, imagine if you will, another document that is part of our amendment rights that states that it shall not be infringed. It could not be more specific. It shall not be infringed. Your right to bear arms. But yet now you have the thief in chief and his Democratic administration. Excuse me, I'm dried out. Imagine, if you will, this administration that is trying to take your rights away from you. One of the biggest ones is this one right here: your Second Amendment right to defend yourself, your family, your property from foreign or domestic tyrannical, corrupt governments. Excuse me. Now, we have seen for the last month and a half that our government keeps on trying to push these so-called red flag gun bills, and our Supreme Court has specifically stated that they are against our Second Amendment rights and cannot be pushed forward. So what do we have? Imagine, if you will, in this Twilight Zone that we are facing, we have a Democratic administration and states that are ruled by this Democratic administration that are going against the Supreme Court rulings on our Second Amendment rights. They are also going against our Supreme Court rulings on the abortion rights, where each state can decide what to do as far as the abortions go. Imagine, if you will, a corrupt, treasonous government trying to take your rights away from you. Now, if you want to know more information about your gun rights, you can go watch Jared on Guns and Gadgets, and he releases at least 1 to 4, sometimes more videos, live streams a day on different Second Amendment red flag gun bills, what bills are going into the office, good as well as bad, even different documents going into our government for the protection of our Second Amendment rights. And he also talks about all these new red flag gun bills that this demonic Democratic administration keeps on pushing. How far and how long are you going to continue to let this corrupt, treasonous government get away with trying to take your rights away? Excuse me, I'm drying out, and now I have a fruit fly that's flying around in my face. If I didn't inhale them. I think I inhaled them. Ugh. See, government's pushing us to eat bugs so bad we're inhaling them automatically without even realizing it. But imagine, if you will, a government that is so corrupt, they locked you down. They took control over your life. Imagine, if you will, that they stopped and canceled out your business that you worked your whole life for, to build up, to have a decent income. Imagine, if you will, a government so corrupt, they're even going after the Amish and the Mennonites for their ways of life. It's happening today. Imagine, if you will, a government that is going after every free individual here in the United States of America. A government so corrupt that they're trying to be a dictator over you instead of you having your freedoms. Also, imagine, if you will, a country that was one of the most secure countries around the world now opens up its borders and lets anybody they want to come in freely. Or what do? They supply them with clothing, with a brand spanking new iPhone that's worth more than I could ever afford, gives them a monthly income, and lets them live in very, very expensive residence throughout our country. Why would a government do that? Well, they're stating it is to replace the American citizens' workforce. So they are basically this corrupt government is going to basically bankrupt the American people. They're going to put you out of work. They're going to raise prices so high you cannot afford to live. You won't be able to pay your bills on your mortgage or your rent or your vehicles or anything that you have that you're making payments on. They will bankrupt you. This is part of the World Economic Forum, where you will own nothing and be happy. They are trying to destroy you. These are one of the things where I don't know when people need to wake up and understand what's going on and look and check things out. People, you need to stock up on food. I have been warning people on all the different channels that I have had here on YouTube for well over 2 years now. I have been warning people to stock up on food, to stock up on gas, oil, get your batteries, stock up on all supplies. Like the Prepared Mind on his channel always stated, you want to have food, water, clothing, shelter, medication, and a means of self defense. You need to have these items, your medical supplies, all these different things you need to get together now. We're being told that by October, prices are going to spike up again another 30 to 50%. This is our government. They're trying to destroy your way of life. How much more are you going to put up with? I am surprised. I mean, I am literally surprised big time, because people are still sitting back, living their normal day of life like nothing is going on, like you have the freedom you had 3 years ago, which you don't. There are a lot, millions, I mean, millions of people. You're talking 70 to 80 million people alone in the United States of America that are below poverty. That 70 to 80 million people are the elderly, the ones collecting Social Security. And that's people 62 and up. We are not that old, people. And what's happening to you, to those that are working? Well, I'll tell you what's happening to you. You're working and becoming a slave to this government. They're raising the prices so high that you can't or barely are making ends meet. You're working 2 and 3 jobs just to try and make ends meet, which means that you are becoming a slave to our government. Now, if you went back 20 years ago, we, the American people, even 30 years ago, we, the American people, would not have let it get this far in this country. But see, this corrupt government is doing things and taking your freedom away one little slice, one little sliver at a time, to make it so that you don't even notice, but you keep on losing your freedoms. One slice here, one slice there, one slice there, until it's gone. And then you're going to be under their control. And some of you are say, oh, no, that won't happen. I won't let it happen. Well, you know what? The only way not for that to happen is to rise up. And if we don't start rising up, we will no longer have freedom in this country. We will no longer have a free country at all. You will be put under some kind of martial law. We also have the thief in chief that's already talking about putting an emergency action into effect. He never lifted the last emergency action because of this C-19 ordeal. So if he puts more emergency actions into effect, what do you have to look forward to? Are you going to ignore those emergency actions? Will we see National Guard? Will we see NATO troops? I don't think we'll see NATO troops, but we may see National Guard. NATO troops are all over this country. As there's thunder coming, we will be getting rain here very shortly. But anyway, I just wanted to throw this stuff out there to everyone today. Get your items together, your medical supplies, your food, your gas, oil, filter for your vehicles. Get the things you need now, because it's going to be to the point where they're already having shortages as far as auto parts. They're having shortages in some stores, some not so much, some are doing fine. But I'll tell you what, within the next few months, that's all going to change. As far as this so-called railroad strike, the people that work for the railroad going on strike, well, that's put off for 60 days. But once that goes into effect, there's less movement of supplies. You have truck drivers right now, over 70,000 of them, blocking off the ports so that truckers cannot get in and out to get supplies around the country, which I don't blame them, because California is trying to put laws into effect to stop over 70,000 truckers from hauling out in and out of California to other parts of this country. On that note, people, you better be aware, you better be prepared. I've been warning people for well over 2 years now. It's time to wake up. If you do not wake up now, okay, apparently you will never be awake. You want to call me a fearmonger? Go right ahead. I've been talking about this stuff for well over 2 years. If you haven't seen the things that I've been talking about happen before your eyes, watching all my different videos on my other channels, there's something wrong. I have been giving warnings for well over 2 years now to get supplies, to get ready, because I've seen this stuff coming. So I suggest you wake up, get these items now, because what you have is all you're going to have. Once these items run out, all you have is all you're going to have, unless you find a way to do something through a black market, a flea market, some kind of small organization where we need to rise up. Because once they start this digital currency stuff, the government will be regulating what you can and cannot buy. You will not have any other way except for a underground or black market system, whether it be through a flea market or something like that. That's the only way that you're going to be able to get the things you need to live on. So everyone, like I stated, my other channel, One Liberty, One Freedom, I am on a 2-week strike from YouTube. So I won't be on that channel, but I will be here on Nomad Prepper 2. So I suggest I'm going to try and do a video on Monday. We'll have to see how things happen. Right now, I have had a hard time getting my internet access. For one, I have a very poor internet provider. The other thing is we're getting nailed, and I don't know if you people know this or not, but we're getting nailed daily by these coronal mass ejections from the sun, that could bring our whole grid down, if not our communications down. But I'm going to try to get out more information as things come in. Once again, don't forget, subscribe to my channel, because once I get 1,000 subscribers here on Nomad Prepper 2, I'll be giving away this 1-ounce silver bar. On that note, people, I'll try to get on this channel here Monday evening at 6 p.m. Join me. Spread the word. And hopefully, you will get your head out of the sand. Get the supplies you need. Get the food you need. Clothing you need. If you're going to do... excuse me. If you're going to do any shopping... excuse me again. If you're going to do any shopping and you want to get things for Christmas, I would get them now. Because by the time Christmas gets here, we may not have items to get for Christmas presents. You may not have a turkey to have for Thanksgiving. All these items, like I stated, are going to continue to go up. You will have less accessibility to gas, food, clothing, medical supplies. Get these items now. Batteries, herbs, spices, flour, sugar. I have also on One Liberty, One Freedom, I go through lists of foods to have in an SHTF situation. Look for those videos on that channel. I may even have a couple of videos on this channel I have done on items to get. I also have antibiotics on One Liberty, One Freedom on antibiotics that you should purchase also to be safe and secure in this SHTF situation we're going through right now. We're already in it, people. If you don't see that, you got to be blind. I'm sorry, but you need to wake up. Get these items now while you can. And I could rant on and on and on. I've been on here for an hour and 20 minutes. People don't like watching my videos this long, but I'm sorry. I need to get this information out to all of you. That's why I continue to do these videos. They get longer because I am getting to the point where apparently you are just not understanding what's going on out here in the world. You all need to wake up. We have Russia. We have China right now that are working hand in hand together against who? We, the United States. We have all these different countries. You have Iran that's working with Putin as well. There are a lot of things going on where we are not the strong, powerful nation as we once used to be. We have a thief in chief right now that is selling and giving away our military supply to Ukraine. We have our thief in chief that is giving away our oil reserves to China. And it's going to the same exact company that who works for? Hunter Biden, who's getting a 10% cut out of this oil going over to China. Also, all this money we're sending over to Ukraine. Who has ties in Ukraine? Oh, imagine that, if you will. Hunter Biden, once again. And I would guarantee, lay money on it, that he is getting kickbacks on this money that's being sent over to Ukraine. Imagine, if you will, a government that has turned a blind eye to the American people and is so corrupt that they're sending money to other countries and it's sifting through these politicians' hands so that they're getting richer and they're denying we, the American people, the freedom that we deserve. They're going totally against we, the American people. It is no longer a government and a republic for we, the American people. It is now a government that needs to be overthrown for the corruption and treasonous acts. You have to remember, people, these politicians that are in our government and all these little side organizations like the FBI, the CIA, the Federal Reserve, and IRS, and all these other organizations, all linked to the government. These people are making millions and millions of dollars out of your money. And now they have turned against you and me in this country. It's time to wake up, people. It's time to protest and take back our country. If we don't take it back, we lose it. And once we lose our freedom, we'll have to fight to get it back, or we never will get it back. This will end up that we will be just like Venezuela. If you're a person who wants to argue with me about this, and you like communism and socialism, if you like socialism, tell you what, Go to Venezuela. See how you like life there. If you like communism, go to China. Go to Russia. Take a 2-week vacation over there and see how those people live. Excuse me. I will guarantee you that you cannot live a life in those countries like you live here in the United States. You cannot talk to the government or the politicians in those countries like we do here in the United States. We have our freedom. We have our liberties. These social media platforms, these news media platforms, they're trying to change all that. They're trying to take everything they can away from you. Wake up, people. Get these items I suggested and get them now. It's better to have and not need than to need and not have. On that note, I'm going to be out of here like I stated. I am going to be on here Monday evening at 6 p.m. right here on Nomad Prepper 2, since I do have a strike on One Liberty, One Freedom. Come join me and enjoy what I have to talk about. Feel free to come in my chat and comment anytime you'd like, right here on Nomad Prepper 2. Until I get my strike lifted on One Liberty, One Freedom, which would be 2 weeks. So right here, because it's my second strike, of course, but I will be right here on Nomad Prepper 2 on Monday evening. Y'all, take care. Get the items that you can get now while you can. I pray for everybody around the world. I pray for everyone around America. We are definitely in the end of times. Read the chapter Matthew, and you will see that right now that Israel is bombing Damascus. It is in the Bible. I would suggest you check it out. Read that Bible. We are in the end of times. It's time to prepare. God love you all. God bless America. Like I stated, pray up, prep up, get your items now, get your MAG together, your mutual assistance group together. Get prepared, people. Times are changing and they're happening fast. On that note, see you Monday evening at 6 p.m. right here on Nomad Prepper 2. Take care, everyone, and good night, all. Have a safe weekend. See you Monday night.